All right, ready for this. We've got a mix of Shakira stuff to dig into, biographies, interviews, you name it, and let me tell you, it's a lot.
Oh, it's fascinating stuff. This is a woman who went from writing poetry as a kid in Colombia to, well, Shakira. Global icon, the whole 9 yards.
Exactly. And we're not just hitting the highlights here. We're talking about her musical journey, her activism, even those comments about the Barbie movie everyone's buzzing about.
See, what grabs me about Shakira is how she's always crossing borders,
Yeah.
in music, in life, just everywhere.
Totally. The biography really drove home how growing up in Barranquilla with her Lebanese and Spanish heritage wasn't just some random fact, it's woven into the soul of her music.
And you have to get that to understand her impact on the world, right? Like
Yeah.
before Shakira, Latin music had its moments on the world stage, sure, but she did something different. She brought real fusion, real Latin sounds to pop music without losing herself.
Yeah. It's in everything those instruments she uses, the way she mixes traditional Latin sounds with rock guitar. And don't forget those Arabic influences in her melodies. Nobody can touch her rhythmic complexity either.
And she did it all on her terms,
Mm.
which is huge. It's empowering.
For sure. Like, I remember when Pies Descalzos came out back in the 90s, huge in Latin America. But then Laundry Service dropped in 2001, and it was like the whole world suddenly understood what we'd been feeling all along.
Right. It's easy to forget how intentional she was about bridging that gap. She didn't just sing in English. She brought Latin culture to the center of the global music scene.
And let's not gloss over the fact that her commitment to social justice was already a part of her career by then. Starting the Pies Descalzos Foundation in '97 to help kids in Colombia, that's not just some celebrity side hustle.
Not at all. The stuff we've got about her childhood, especially seeing poverty firsthand, it clearly lit a fire in her to fight for education. It's a constant thread through her whole life.
Mhm.
Shows just how deeply those experiences impacted her.
Okay, but we got to talk about those Barbie comments, right? I mean, her sons hating the movie, saying it was emasculating. It definitely got people talking. What were your thoughts on all that?
Honestly, it's fascinating because how she reacted, and especially how her sons did, it gets at this huge question everyone's wrestling with.
Yeah.
How do we break down these old school gender roles without, like, demonizing masculinity?
Yeah.
It's tricky, nuanced. Just her being willing to even touch on it is big.
It struck me how, even as this global icon who's always pushing boundaries, she's still figuring out these complicated issues as a mom raising two boys, trying to find that balance.
And that's something so many people can relate to, right?
Okay.
How do we raise the next generation with a healthier view of gender roles while
Yeah.
still respecting what everyone's feeling and going through?
Mhm.
It's messy. It's ongoing.
Yeah.
Definitely worth digging into more.
100%. And this whole thing about navigating public life, the scrutiny, it's there in how she's handled her personal life lately, too. The sources talk about the split with Gerard Piqué, the challenges of co-parenting, even legal stuff in Spain. Not easy, but she's poured it all into her work, which, let's be real, is what she does best.
That resilience, man, you see it over and over with her. It's like she takes these super personal, often painful things and turns them into art.
Speaking of art, can we talk about her musical journey for a sec? I mean, from those early albums with the rock edge, those killer guitar riffs, to those massive pop songs everyone knows, to even messing around with reggaeton more recently, she never sits still.
That's the key to why she's lasted,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's not about chasing whatever's trendy. It's about taking chances and pushing those creative limits. But here's the thing. No matter what she does, you always know it's Shakira. That voice, her way of weaving Latin rhythms into anything she tries, it's like this unbroken thread.
It's like she found the magic formula, appeal to everyone without losing herself in the process, which actually is the perfect way to bring up the impact of it all. We're talking Las Mujeres, Ya no Loran. They tour.
Women don't cry anymore, they tour.
Ah,
Talk about a statement. From what we've seen, this tour is going to be huge.
think about it. All the hits, new music that's definitely going to reflect everything we've been talking about, even rumors of surprise guests. Fans are losing their minds. But before we get too caught up in tour hype,
Gotta switch gears.
well, we've covered her childhood, her music, the activism, those Barbie thoughts.
Which, honestly, I'm still processing.
Aren't we all? But I think it all comes back to something you said before. Shakira lets us into her world, and that world. It's complicated, full of contradictions, just like us.
And maybe that's the most important thing for listeners to chew on, right? What's it mean to embrace those contradictions? To defy expectations?
Yeah.
To build something that's both incredibly personal and undeniably global? Because Shakira proves it's possible. It's this amazing mix, right? Artistry, activism, and just being real.
Hmm.
You can't separate her philanthropy, her speaking out about social issues from her music. It's all part of the same thing, this vibrant tapestry. And that's what makes her so relatable.
So true. She's this global superstar, but she's also open about the tough stuff. Heartbreak, the ups and downs of being a mom, even those tax troubles. Doesn't hide from it, which is so refreshing.
Totally. Like she welcomes you in, and her world is about so much more than just the usual pop star bubble. She's Colombian, but her music breaks down borders. She's a mother, but that doesn't mean she can't own her sensuality and power on stage. It's layered, you know? We can all connect with that.
You saying layered makes me think about her music, actually. We touched on it, but let's dive in a little deeper. Those early albums had this rock edge, powerful guitar riffs, then those massive pop anthems, now experimenting with reggaeton, constantly evolving, but she always keeps that core Shakira sound, which blows my mind.
That's what makes her such an artist. She doesn't just dip her toes into different genres. She gets what makes them work and then weaves them into her own sound. Look at how she approached reggaeton. She didn't just hop on the trend, she respected the history, worked with some of the biggest names in Latin music, all while putting her own spin on it.
It's this awesome balance respecting tradition while pushing boundaries, and that goes back to her global impact, right? She changed what it means for music to cross over.
100%. It used to be that artists who didn't sing in English had to fit into this box to make it big globally. But Shakira showed everyone that being authentic is powerful. She didn't erase her Colombian identity, she made it stronger, and it opened doors for so many other artists.
It's like she showed the world that different can be universal. That's a powerful legacy.
Absolutely. And it shows in how people see her now. She's not just a Colombian artist or a Latin artist or even a crossover artist. She's just Shakira. That says it all.
She's a force of nature, a philanthropist, a mother, a businesswoman, and like you said, an artist who's still growing, still pushing those boundaries. Speaking of, can we circle back to the tour? You said it's going to be massive.
Everything points to epic. And the name she chose, Las Mujeres Ya no Loran, Ya no Loran, they tour. It's all about that resilience, that empowerment we keep talking about.
It's like she's saying, I've been through it, but I'm still standing stronger than ever. And now she's celebrating with her fans on her own terms.
Exactly. And fans are feeling it. There's this real buzz, this anticipation. Wouldn't be surprised if it's one of the biggest tours of the year.
I can totally see it happening. You know, as much as we've unpacked about her career, her impact, even those Barbie thoughts.
Which, for the record, I'm still thinking about.
Oh, we all are. But I think it all goes back to something you said earlier. Shakira lets us into her world. And that world, it's complicated, full of contradictions, just like all of ours.
And maybe that's the most important thing for listeners to take away and really think about. What does it mean to embrace those contradictions? Challenge expectations. Build something that's both deeply personal and globally huge. Shakira shows us it's possible.
And in a world that loves putting people in boxes, she went and built her own universe. It's
Yeah.
incredible, and it just keeps growing.
That's it. That's the perfect way to put it. And it takes us right back to what you were saying at the beginning about her success. What does it tell us about how the world sees Latin American artists now versus back then?
Exactly. When she first hit the scene, it was a big deal just to hear Spanish on the radio here in the US. But now, Latin music is everywhere, worldwide. It's a global force, and it's often on its own terms.
Exactly. And as huge as Shakira's crossover was, we can't forget about this shift. Artists like Bad Bunny are topping the charts, singing mostly in Spanish.
Hmm.
Makes you wonder, would Shakira have even needed to record whenever, wherever in English if she was starting out today?
It's true. It's like she broke down those walls and proved that people want authentic music, even if they don't understand all the words. Her journey mirrors this larger shift towards embracing different cultures and sounds.
It's bigger than just language, isn't it? It's about celebrating the richness of cultures and the way artists like Shakira express themselves. She challenged everything the music industry thought they knew about what a global pop star should look and sound like.
And don't forget how she's always woven her philanthropy into her music and her public image. She's been a huge voice for children's education, putting a spotlight on poverty and inequality.
Right. It adds this whole other dimension to that idea of her building her own universe. It's not just about the songs. It's about using her power to make a real difference in the world.
Which reminds us that impact comes in all shapes and sizes. From changing the sound of music to fighting for social justice, Shakira's story shows us what's possible when you stay true to yourself, embrace your roots, and never back down from a challenge.
And with that, I think we've truly explored the depths of Shakira's world. From those early days in Barranquilla to ruling the world as a global icon, She's an artist who never stops surprising us, inspiring us, and sparking important conversations.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So until next time, listeners, keep those ears open, keep those questions coming, and maybe crank up some Shakira while you're at it.